on February 20th. Everyone's here, I hope, for the meeting of the Metropolitan Utility District number 60 meeting. Begin with a roll call. Director Betty Doherty.
Here.
Director Donna McAleer is absent on an emergency. She had to be out of town. Director Bob Lux is here. Director Dale Walker is here. And we have a vacant position and they are not here, but we do have a quorum and we have an agenda. So we will move to the opening invocations and the pledges of allegiance. Okay. Heavenly Father, we come to you today as an assembled body. We humbly request that you bless our meeting, our community, and our nation. Help us to work diligently, always for the common good and in the best interest of those we have been elected to represent. Guide us to be insightful and prudent in our intentions, visions, plans, deliberations, decisions, and their fulfillment. Work through us to provide a spirit of welcome to all in attendance, to engage in respectful and thoughtful dialogue and discussion with understanding, wisdom, and humility. Amen.
Amen.
If you wish, prior to reciting the pledges of allegiance, please take an additional moment of silent prayer or additional reflection in the manner of your preference. Thank you. Pledges of allegiance. First to the United States flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge to the Texas flag.
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay.
I think this is this is your agenda that you left in here.
I don't think so, but I thought I had it.
Maybe for your minutes or something.
That's,
Were they supposed to be in here?
is it? No, they shouldn't have been. Maybe you're right.
Did Shelley?
No, this is, could have.
Shelley, did you put the minutes from January 16 into this folder
Yeah,
that we're signing?
yeah. Yeah,
Signing
they need to
stuff?
be signed. Okay, we are now to agenda item 4. Consider and act on an adjustment to account number 69-2615-01. Mike Mooney, please. Oh, pardon me. I jumped ahead of myself. We need to go to agenda item 3. Forgive me, Mike. Comments from the public, and we had one resident who wished to address the board, Mr. Gil Jackson. Mr. Jackson, are you here? Mr. Jackson, welcome. Please. Yes, sir, please.
Got some pictures and some information for the board members. Bob Lux.
That's me.
Is there Betty?
Okay.
Hi, Betty.
Hi.
Hey,
Thank you.
And Dale Walker.
Yeah.
How you doing, Dale?
Living in dream.
Okay, living the dream. Donna's not here.
No, that is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Last week I experienced some problems with my sewage. I didn't know at the time it was sewage. And we had some backup in my tub and shower. And by the way, I'm a resident of the Woodlands. I live in Indian Springs, been here 20 years, and member of the township. So we called a local plumber to assess the problem. And he spent 2 days in the yard digging around, trying to see if we could find the problem. And eventually we found the problem was at the city side of the Y collector or the Y fitter. Fitting tube. And we immediately called the city or the mud district to come out and take a look at it. And they found that it was part of their problem. And then they began to rectify the problem. And I think it was Randy and his team that came out to work on it. It was Adrian and Mike. And then essentially the next day they brought another crew out. I think it was GJ Boring or something to dig around the yard and flush out the system and then cut away the breach that we had in the line. But I spent 2 days of time with the plumber to see if we could rectify the problem. And he did a lot of digging and around the pipes. And he actually made a way for Randy's team actually to get in the hole and to find what the problem was and assess that it really was the problem with the city. And I have some pictures that really represented that, as you could tell in pictures that Randy's team is actually in the hole that a plumber actually dug out and they found a way around it. And so my ask of the board is, can I get reimbursed for the investment I made with the plumber? And then the one you hand out, you have a bill from the plumber. What he charged. I'm just asking for the board to reimburse me of the cost that I have to incur.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion or presentation that you,
That's it.
okay.
And do you mind telling me, is it 1850 is the reimbursement or 850?
It's $850.
Okay, thank you.
I paid him $1,000 for the commitment to pay the rent on Renee.
Okay, thank you.
And one last thing I do want to stress is that all the work that he did up front to dig the hole and to present to me where the problem was, actually the team actually benefited on that. And then day one when they showed up, the fire, not the fire department, but the water department, they actually got in the hole when they saw everything. So they utilized everything that I invested in terms of problem solving.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
Further discussion, Mike, please?
So as the resident, Mr. Jackson's explained, that's basically what happened. What we've tried to do is through the public outreach in our campaign, we try to encourage the customer, regardless of whether they think the leak is on their side or the stoppage is on their side or our side, call us first. That way it will save the district some money. The reason the customer's here today is we as a staff has denied the claim because it's over our authorization limit. Superintendent Randy is also here. He was in the field. He does have some pictures he's passed out about the height, where the break was, where the roots got in and so forth. Don't really have a policy on a situation like this, where the customer calls a plumber first and it becomes our problem. But again, we're encourage you to take a look at the facts and make a decision maybe that's equitable to both the district and us.
Doesn't this Y branch, it's kind of unfamiliar to what I've been used to seeing. Could you explain to me? I just don't understand this configuration.
Typically, when the water and sewer lines are put in, the sewer main is laid with a Y at property line. The Y served both the customer and his neighbor. In this case, the Y was put to the property line. Whoever plumbed the homes back 25 years ago when the homes were built added an additional Y on top of our Y, kind of unusual, and tied the homes in there. So the Ys that we left as the district were just capped off, were never unplugged. But the customer did, or the plumber did, tie their Y into the clean out of the Y. Very unusual, but it does happen. That's where the break was. Don't know when it happened, maybe when they tied it in, maybe last week. With the root ball that was found there, it's been active for quite a while. So, but for the most part, the Y ends at the property line between the two homeowners. It ends at the right-of-way line, and it's kind of on the property line or within a foot of the two homes.
You indicated that there's no policy per se on this, but
There's no,
didn't we do something a few months ago with the public notification?
we did,
Can you refresh our memories, please?
John and his team with the public outreach group, about 6 or 8 months, it was last summer, I remember, I don't have it with me. We sent out an email and published a notice in our Woodlands Water Weekly that we do offer free sewer inspections, and we were bombarded with the number of people wanting a free sewer inspection. And so what we do is we give, we make the appointment with the homeowner, to come out and TV their sewer line, inform them of any bellies, breaks, compromises in their sewer line or not. Assume everybody got it, hope everybody got it, but may not have reached all people. But it's a free service, as you know.
Okay. I'd make a motion so that we can enter into discussion. Because there is this perhaps doing something a bit out of order, hiring a plumber before calling Woodlands Water first, which is a no charge situation, to split the bill in half, split the baby in half. And may not be to your liking, Mr. Jackson, but I think as a board, you know, we have to look for the best interest of the entire MUD. And like I say, a little bit's better than nada, you know, as they say. And if that's my motion, and if there's a second for that, we can begin.
The question.
We need to do it in proper order.
Okay.
Is there a second to that,
Oh,
to that motion? If there isn't,
yeah, I'll second it.
thank you. Okay, we can now proceed with discussion. Do you
Uh,
have something? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. You had the floor
I had my
first.
hand up.
You did.
Dale did not. Go there and knock him upside the head.
Just twitching, that's all.
Yeah, I've got a question, that's all. So, sir, did you say you lived in the house for about a year?
20 years.
Okay, that's what I missed, because in the verbiage it says 20 years. And so, yeah, it's right here. I just didn't hear you right. So I wanted to make sure this was, okay.
And one point I want to add, Bob, is that if I would have known to call the city first on this problem, I would have, but I didn't know there was black soot in the tub, black soot in the shower. I thought it was a plumbing issue. So my inclination was to call the plumber and get him engaged. And I didn't know it was sewer, you know, I'm not a sewer guy. I operate my specialty. That's not
I
my
mean,
specialty. So I just call it sewer.
I empathize with you. I wouldn't, I don't think about my Y branch at my home, and I've been in there 25 years.
Last week was
Yeah.
my grand.
So, yeah, it's never crossed my mind.
Yeah, but now I know moving forward, right, lesson learned.
Thank you, sir. Dale?
This is a complex irrigation issue. Do we have a fund that set aside that we actually dip into to pay the citizen?
An emergency fund, like, or emergency, I don't. It just comes out of cash, yeah.
No, so it'd just be out of the operating
Yes.
budget.
We'll take it from petty cash to work.
Okay.
Well, I actually had a problem New Year's Eve. And yeah, called the Woodlands Water, and they came out New Year's Eve during the Rose Bowl and fixed my main water line. I had somebody run over it. Carlos, field hand, did a wonderful job. I sympathize with what you're going through. So here I am on New Year's Eve and I don't have any water in the house. And that cut off the dishwasher and the washing machine and all that. And it's just like, I understand your point.
I do want to add, I commend the crew, because the minute my wife called and spoke with Carolyn, don't know if Carolyn's in the room or not, but she immediately got on the phone and the crew was there within an hour. And And they stood there, or they worked there the first day until 7 o'clock. And then they showed up the next day, 8:30. So the crew did a phenomenal job.
Thank
So
you.
they scared me when they showed up the next day with a backhoe, right?
Further discussion, Dave? Any further discussion? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. You are welcome, sir. We would enjoy your participate. Yes, sir, you can.
Have some riveting things we're gonna be talking about.
All right. So we are now to request for adjustments specific, there's no other. Okay, hi Jeannie. Thanks for the good work. We don't get a chance to talk to you anymore with the taxes. I know that it's just getting started, but you guys have got your shoulder to the wheel, and I know you're doing what you can to get the taxes in promptly. Thank you. Consent agenda. Do we have any questions about the consent agenda? Which goes from pages 3 through 15.
Oh. I'm ugly. Except.
Accept the consent
consent
agenda
agenda, yeah.
as presented.
Mhm.
I'll second that. Any further discussion, Dale? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, so now we are to agenda item 11. Unless there's a candidate that's come forth, since this matter has presented itself again, I'll move to defer unless there's any information to the contrary. Any discussion on that? I can get a second to that.
I'll second that.
Okay. And then is there any further discussion on that item?
Defer,
To
good.
defer? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstain, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, authorize preparation and maintenance of a local government officers list in connection with conflict of interest disclosure requirements. Can we do these together? Katie, D,
Oh,
oh. We can't defer those, can we?
yeah.
All of those relate to appointing a new director.
Oh. Okay, so all of those, I thought it was a different topic.
If you were actually appointing someone
I see.
today, you would go through.
I see. Thank you. Thank you. We now come to the favorite part of the meeting. We see Mr. Meeks and Mr. Hildebrand to give our SJRA Woodlands Division report, which is shown on pages 18 through 54 of our meeting
This
packets.
16 and 17. Is that something we just signed? I'll look and see if you want me to. That was just the next page up. That's why I'm asking.
That's last month's agenda.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And, since it's in here, did we just sign it? Yeah, I think we did.
Which item?
The next one in line, 16 and 17, what's the thing, what's the both?
The exemptions. Oh, I see. The wage rate scale. So that was just approved in the consent agenda. And.
Right, and that's, we've already taken care of that then.
Yes,
And we
all of the-
signed it right here. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
About 100 pages long, so that's.
Yeah.
Put those.
You know,
Yes, so the.
plumbers are $15.25 and
every single type of construction. And y'all adopt the prevailing
Mhm.
wage rate scales that the Department of Labor promulgates for Montgomery County.
I don't know what we could do about it if we didn't, I don't even know. It's kind of procedural, I think, because if we went, heck no, we're paying these plumbers $20 an hour. Yeah,
Yeah,
You have to adopt minimum, so you just adopt. the one
Oh,
that
okay.
Department
Got
of
it.
Labor promulgates.
y'all did
And I think
315
the
and I
market
took you
demands that
literally.
you actually pay those workers a lot more, so.
Yeah, we've already had that discussion.
But thank you for signing.
yeah.
And my mind's like a steel trap. I knew I had just signed that. I do.
Okay, agenda item 12. We're back to that. Mr. Meeks and Mr. Hildebrand.
We have 4 or 5 items to go through. Most are in your packet, some are not. We'll hit some high level stuff, but if you have any questions, let us know. Our monthly operations report is on page 18 and runs through page 30. One clarification is on page 19, typo. We'll correct it next month. To the top right, the rolling 12-month water loss is not 5.50%. It's actually 4.21%.
Upper right-hand corner.
Upper right of page 19.
Total is 4.21.
That was a little bit too round for me, and so water loss isn't normally that round, so we double checked it, it's 4.21%.
It's funny that you'd bring up all the stuff that you were going to talk about. I think everybody's seen this before. It was quite a while ago, August 10th of 2023. I think
That's
on
Houston.
average, about 14% of all water, 14% of all water treated by utilities is lost through leaks, according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Many states set the benchmark for less, for acceptable losses to be between 10 and 15% water produced. Houston recorded a loss of over 20% of its total monthly water supply at the last 5 times since the start of 2022. So the efforts that has been put forth to get us from what I was going to brag about, 5.5, is now 4.21%, which is pretty much unheard of. I think it's really exceptional, and you're all are to be commended, both WWA and the smart meter selections that we made, and the diligence that the repair guys do, and the whole team. It's a phenomenal number. Forgive me for interrupting.
And mine knocked down a good 4% at this point in time, so that's the biggest, most recent thing to be done, so that's good.
What'd you say? It knocked it down?
About 4%, because we were at budget, we were at 8 to 8.5%. Now you're looking at 4.21, so 4%.
I can't listen as fast as you talk. Is why I have to ask so many questions.
No problem. I'll try to slow down for the next
To
meeting.
put it in the vernacular, though, that's money in the bank.
Yeah.
That's water that's been produced.
Yeah. And so water loss wise for the budget, which is the next topic beginning on page 31, we're looking at water and sewer demands in relation to that is also the water loss. So in here, you'll see where we're looking at a 5.21% for next year. After the conversation of the trustees looking at the numbers, we're looking at 4.5%. That's roughly an increase of about $100,000. But this document that begins on page 31, you'll go through recommended water sales, water production, water loss. Right now, the recommendation is to keep it the same as FY24, which is good because that means you do not have a demand increased rate increase. When you get to the sewer, it's going to show the same thing. So we're looking at keeping the same as FY24. Now, the one thing is we are looking at these numbers every month. So if those numbers need to go up slightly, we'll move them up slightly. If they need to go down, they go down. But the final budget's presented to y'all in May. So we want to get a few more months behind us before we go forward. Going through the budget guidelines as well, there's discussion about the electrical cost, chemical cost, and some smaller O&M projects we're looking at. One of the bigger savings is on the electrical right now, we're looking at 3.8 million in the current budget. Going forward, we're looking at using actuals plus 10% to arrive to a budget. Rolling 12-month budget is 2.9. So you add 10% to that, roughly 3.3 million. So roughly a $500,000 savings. Besides that, we just talked on page 42 about some other things we're still looking at. This is all preliminary, just letting y'all know that we're starting the budget process, and these are things that we're gonna look at between now and May. Next month, we'll bring back the revised project plan and discuss that with you. Very high level, nothing set in stone, no actions taken, but just want to let you know where our minds are. Questions?
The punchline is right there on 43,
Mhm.
right? Use FY 24 demands.
Correct.
That's the money shot, right?
Now, with the one caveat being the water sales, where you see water sales at 5.296 billion gallons, that's including a 5.21% water loss. So when we adjust that down to 4.5%, that water sales is going to go up, but we expect production to stay about the same,
Money in the bank.
about 100,000.
Yeah.
Using current rates. All right, so on page 45, there's, I think, about 9 pages, 49 to 53, talks about the FY 23 excess funds. Excess funds are any funds that are left over from the last year's budget. And we bring it to y'all for a vote to see if you want to keep it or if you want to give it to us, allow us to keep it and use it for certain named projects. At the end of FY 23, there's 5.1 million left over in excess funds. 85% roughly of that was due to the drought.
Mhm.
The other 15% was made up mostly of vacant positions and other smaller things that were not done, but the bulk of it due to the drought. So what we show here on page 45 and 46 is just a high level summary of if the MUD's allowed us to keep it. These are the projects and the amounts that we would use it on. And just a reminder, this is not a vote by each individual MUD. This is a vote by the majority of the trustees to make this go forward. If by some chance, since there's 10 trustees, if by some chance there is a split where it's 5 and 5, MUD 386 does meet and MUD 386 is a part of this and they would be the tiebreaker.
Mhm.
Just FYI. We are looking to have the trustees vote on this in March. Yes, sir.
If this isn't out of line, Katie, I'd just like a thumbs up, thumbs down as to how you'd like the trustee to vote in March. If you look on 48, our share is 545,000, almost 546. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't this kind of like left pocket, right pocket? I mean, you know, the money's here, you're gonna come back to fund these others anyway. Okay, just so that,
Try to add on page 45, if you look at like item number 1C says contractual, it's a contractual item we're going to bring back to you per the contract.
Mhm.
MUD requested, projects needed per textile, whatever it is, we've listed the need to show it's going to come back if you don't pay for it.
and some of these things are already in motion, are they not? Haven't you retained the AC water line assessment engineer?
Not yet, because we don't have money. Now, we do have a scope that I'm gonna pass out here in a minute, we can talk, about,
Mhm.
Okay.
but it is a MUD requested item, though, as soon as we get funds, ready to rock.
And you explained this in detail at the trustees meeting. The water line easements, could you educate my fellow directors here, please, with that? And the classifier.
So on the town center water line easements, we know that project, the construction part of that project is on hold, but at some point, it's gonna go to construction. It could be in the middle of the AC water line condition assessment, it could be at the end, right? The AC water line condition assessment is a 1-year study, if you will. It's gonna take roughly 6 months to a year to get the easements for town center water line. So what we're proposing is to continue moving forward with the town center water line easements, acquire all the land, permanent and temporary, that we need. That way, whenever it is ready to go to construction, the MUD say, yes, you're gonna do it, here's the funding. We don't have to say, okay, it's gonna be another year for us to get the easements. We're basically shovel ready entirely at that point. So that's what the easements are about.
Didn't you also, correct me if I'm in the right category, didn't you say that easements have a way of creeping in value if you don't address them promptly?
In value and also in intended uses. because part of it too is we're trying to get easements right now where there's not a lot of people at. If there's other utilities that get in that area, then we may have to do a redesign of the line, or that line, that value has now gone up quite a bit. So trying to get it while we know where it is. We've talked to the developer who has quite a bit of the easements we're looking for. They may have some options and some plans, especially on the temporary side, to reduce the cost, but right now we go ahead and move forward with this, then this is the price that the people that do this for a living have told us.
And the classifier, please?
So the grid classifier, now let me back up a little bit too. This is just a high level. After these next couple of pages, there's a one page that kind of goes in detail about each of it, but the grid classifier is what removes the grit from the wastewater plant. And so every wastewater plant is usually designed with the grid classifier. The original one was galvanized metal, lasted for about 18 years. And so when it basically corroded, we had one at wastewater plant 1 that we were not using to move to plant 2 to try to make it work. Did that for a number of years. It does not work, right? Because it was not designed for that facility. So what this item is to replace the grid classifier wastewater plant 2 with a properly designed and constructed one that's made for that facility. This one will be stainless steel. And this was part of a project that we currently have underway called the wastewater treatment plant number 2 headworks rehabilitation, which is where we're going in. There's a grid chamber there that we're rehabbing the concrete, coating it, doing some piping work and other stuff. But the cost of that project was over budget. And so since the concrete was corroding, we went ahead and fixed that on it first, knowing we'd come back for the grid classifier later. So replacing the original equipment with better materials, a little bit better design to last for the long term. If grit's not removed from the wastewater plant, it settles in the basins. It's basically sand, if you will, going through the pumps, the motors, the piping, and it corrodes all that. So
What's the lead time on an item like this? Do you know?
that's a good question. Do not know. It's all fab. So I'd imagine, I'm not gonna call it a guess, because generators always give me. So I do not.
You don't have to wait for it to be fabricated, is what it's all fab means. That would, but
No, it's all fabricated per site.
right,
So,
okay.
Yeah. Custom.
I had a feeling you were gonna say stainless.
We looked
When
at,
you said galvanized before.
yeah, galvanized was good for fences and some other things, but in wastewater plant, you can't beat stainless.
No, with all the chemicals and, excuse me, all the chemical reactions with the steel
Exactly.
and the fluids that you're dealing with. I'm surprised that your galvanized lasted 18 years.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is. You just leave your galvanized equipment out in the field, you see what happens to it. It just melts away eventually. The stainless steel, is there any you have to maintain these things, you have to do maintenance but stainless is gonna work in your favor.
Right. So it's mostly just the gaskets and the bearings, the mechanical type items that wear, but the stainless steels, we have one at wastewater plant 1 that's stainless, and it's pretty much, it just maintains itself. You wash it down, clean it up.
I think I saw it when I toured it.
Probably did, yeah.
It's over on the northeast side of the facility.
Yep.
Where it's coming in, it
Yep.
gets all the heavy stuff.
Yep. Immediately right there.
Yeah. So that's critical to get that out before you get into the treatment.
Right, because it'll run through the pipes and just erode.
Cause
the
all
pipe,
sorts of headaches.
Kill the pumps and everything.
Very good.
Any other questions?
I think that's a good investment.
I just like to know, what do you think? Just to
I think it's a good investment.
get the funds to leave them with SJRA.
Yeah.
That'd be
Oh, yeah,
what
for
this-
that, absolutely.
Yeah,
That'd be what this board would recommend. Okay, good.
what else would we do?
Well, you could get it back
Well, that means each individual that's in MUD 60 would get a,
theoretically, yes.
And they need it eventually again.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of work.
Left-
that
left
so
pocket, right
necessary. I
pocket,
think we
yeah.
gotta give it to them.
For these kinds
yeah.
of things.
That'd be what be
Yeah.
coming back to us.
Mhm.
Very good. I'll make sure that that's the way that MUD 60 votes.
Okay, good.
Two more items.
Yes, sir.
So I am currently passing around, or they're helping me pass around. This is the scope of work for the AC water line condition assessment testing. I talked to Dan, we were looking originally to do a one-page high-level summary, but this is a short scope. And basically what this covers is, this will be with HDR Engineering. This is the firm that's done, basically literally wrote the book on waterline condition assessment testing. We met with them as well as Woodlands Water, talk about what should we do, how should we do it, what's the outcome of it all. So this scope lays out the project management, the analysis they're going to be doing, the destructive testing they're going to be doing, and the non-destructive testing. One thing to note is when you look on the first page of this scope, there's a compensation that's just a little bit over $1 million. That $1 million is for the engineering, the analysis, project management, and the non-destructive testing. The destructive testing, as far as the lab analysis, is included in here, but the excavation and repair of the water lines, when you pull that piece out, is not included in this contract. That's an existing contract we had bid a year or two ago. So that's why when you look at this scope, it says 1 million, but we're requesting 1.6 to cover the excavations.
Did you estimate it at 3 million? Is that why that's in my head?
3 to 3.5 million was the original estimate.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is good.
This is $3 million.
It is indeed.
No action on this one. We just wanted to bring it out to y'all to have you take a look.
But that would be funded through these, I've got to make sure that I've got excess funds.
Excellent.
Yes. I got in trouble with that last year. Very
Yeah.
cautious about that.
But it's contractual.
Okay,
All right.
and that's the number 2 there, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So we talked in detail about the easements, the classifier, and the AC lines, and the emergency reserve.
Yeah, TxDOT required items on 242. The River Authority is not in a dedicated easement. We're in the right of way. And so when TxDOT comes through and they say they're going to widen the lane, you got to move your stuff. And so we have to move our stuff.
Mhm.
So are you on the, where's the line? Is it on the north side of 242?
North and south.
Mhm.
Because we have, now none of this is sewer. So sewer is more on the north, water's more on the south.
That's what I was wondering.
So the water's on the south with the well collection lines on the south. And in this area where they're putting some storm water piping,
Right.
as well as the detention ponds, we have to lower our lines. Looks like 2 to 3.
This
I remember you've had some serious breaks in the past couple of months on 242
A little bit further up from that, yeah.
towards 1488,
Yes.
that direction near they used to have Kroger's at the intersection.
Yeah, from that area.
That's okay.
Are we talking about this right here, this map?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where are the little red boxes? There's one on one end and one on the other end, 2 boxes.
That's where the work's going to take place.
Okay,
There's 2 geographical areas, but there's 4 lines that need to be lowered.
okay, thank you.
When you say lower, that's to get it below the current work that they're doing to expand, to get it way below the current.
Stormwater piping that they're putting.
Okay. Okay.
The road, for the most part, we're okay with. Most of the storm sewer we're looking at.
Okay.
So the last item that I have was just passed out just a moment ago. It's Freeze Nichols technical memorandum. So after some discussions internally and discussions with the MUDs over the last couple of months, we thought it'd be good to kind of summarize the last almost 2.5 years worth of work on the wastewater strategic plan in a smaller document. And so if you go through and read all the stuff on the Google Drive and everything Dan's talked about, and everything Dan has handed out, there's give or take about 1,000 pages worth of memos, notes, presentations, and everything. And in a lot of those discussions that we had, a lot of those items we verbally talked about were not always put into writing. And so this is like an executive summary of the entire wastewater strategic plan pulled together.
Nice.
So it talks about what was done, why it was done, and what the need is to move forward. And so one of the bigger keys that we've gotten questions about starts kind of on page 10. It's what other studies and what other reports were done to justify that this plant needs to be replaced. And so starting on page 10, you'll see some CDM reports from January of 2015. You'll move into some Ardoras on some basically different reports without going into it. That shows more of the need where we've evaluated all of wastewater plant 1. Then we moved to another consultant that looked at something else and evaluated that, and then summarized everything with Freeze and Nichols in the last 2 years, looking at everything and saying, here's the justification to replace the whole thing. So this is more of what you've already seen over the last 2 years. Just thought it'd be an easy way to summarize the entire 2 years in case somebody wants to get a recap of it in the future. You can read 20
Thank you.
pages instead of a.
It's a lot of work, but this
Good
is,
job, guys.
it's nice to have it summarized.
It was, and this was Dan here and David and one putting it together in a week.
Did they go to sleep and all?
So,
I would just want to reiterate kind of what Chris said is, either if you haven't been in every stakeholder meeting over the past 2.5 years, haven't read a 200-page phase 1 analysis, 150-page phase 2 report, I encourage you to read this. I think it is a good executive summary of how we got to where we are today. When decisions were made, who helped make those decisions, where is there other reference reports? Chris mentioned a couple of reports in there. After this meeting, I need to send those reports to Woodlands Water so they can post them up on the Google Drive too. So all the reports that are referenced in that summary, y'all will have access to the full report if you desire.
This is great.
But yeah, encourage you to read it. And if you got questions, you probably funnel those through Eric back to us and give it.
Great work, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you. It's going to be very helpful.
Thank you.
How many bottles of Advil did you go through? Okay, we are now to, anything more, Chris? That's it? Nothing more, Dan? Oh, we're gonna get you in a little bit here, I think. Okay, so agenda item 13, discuss potential funding alternatives related to the SJRA Woodlands Division proposed infrastructure projects. General Manager Peterson and Mr. Cohen, nice to see you. Thank you for coming here to share with us our options and where we might be able to fund these projects, excuse me.
As we talked a little bit about it last month, we were going to be working on putting together some pros and cons and what the different scenarios might look like from the bottom line for the customer. As you recall, last month we discussed a couple different initial options that we're playing around with. One was to sell your own bonds and go back for a bond election, which is a little problematic. Water and sewer rates. This is kind of where you're currently at. Rollback tax election, which is, first option is debt service. Third option, again, these aren't ordered in any way, but would be maintenance tax, rollback election. Second one will be water sewer rates. And then there's maybe even a hybrid or another option where there's maybe a separate fee on the water bill. Again, that's a water bill, still a water bill thing, but wouldn't maybe it's not based on usage, but based on type of customer or whatever the case may be. So we're working on that right now. We expect to have some presentation for you in March.
Do you have anything to add, Adam?
No, I mean, he said pretty succinctly, I mean, the only, and this we'll get into a further discussion, but if you do a flat fee on the bill, I think the idea would be to start setting aside a fund so that as cash calls come in from SJRA, you could reduce the amount of bonds they sell by paying cash just to offset. So just another option.
These will be explained in greater depth. Okay, so at this moment, it's a little early to even have a thumbs up, thumbs down as to what this board might be thinking because we don't have all the facts yet.
You need to see the
Y'all are
numbers and
working on
go
it.
from there.
Okay. So that, we're through with that agenda item?
Defer till March. Is what I-
Defer to March, okay. Okay, received update regarding the status of Bear Branch, Panther Branch, and Research Forest Drive drainage improvement projects. Dan, is this yours on behalf of LJA?
We are currently still working with the team, with LJA on finalizing their report and their findings. One additional thing, we authorized them to go and look at the cost estimates, develop the cost estimates for the alternatives they laid out. So when we come to report to the funding partners and stakeholder, we have those costs to look at in addition to the benefits that those alternatives will provide.
Hmm.
So we're working through that. Once we have that in hand, more information on when we'll be presenting that.
Is there, pardon me, go ahead.
I was just gonna point out, there is a public announcement with Dan Crenshaw will be here for a kind of an unveiling of the funding that was acquired for the projects. So that'll be.
That's, I think you mixed apples and oranges. This is that's the dam.
Correct.
This is the Bear Branch, Panther Branch Research Forest project. Yeah. We wish that we got, we wish we got funds from, maybe we can
Mhm.
put the wrist lock on Representative Crenshaw when he's there. Maybe we can get a few bucks for that project, but I don't think so.
This one's at least at 0%.
Is
Yeah.
0%. Yeah, yeah. Hard to beat that, isn't it?
Yeah. I get those two mixed up all the time.
Is there any professional guess as to when there might be a kickoff, or, you know, where you'd actually put the shovels in the ground and the project would get started? I'd rather not say.
I don't think I have a guess at that. I don't know if you
But,
want to. throw
Not at this
something
point.
out.
Yeah.
No.
I just think, John, whenever that does come up, we need to make sure that that's widely publicized, because this will be the first attempt at any drainage improvements that has, I think,
Mhm.
been done in, maybe I'm wrong, in Montgomery County since the hurricanes, the tax days, the this and that. This will be one of the first projects, and I think we need to tell our story.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Dan. Attorney's report. Katie, please.
Was on a family vacation and they got delayed returning. So I'm happy to be here, though. The only thing I had for you under the attorney's report is I wanted to let you know, as y'all anticipated, you do have a contested election. The last day to submit applications was last Friday at 5 p.m. So Shelley in our office have gone through all those applications and reviewed them all and sent the list of candidates to Montgomery County. As a reminder, you're conducting a joint election with Montgomery County this year. And so they'll do most of the work for the election, but we're complying with their timeline and their requirements for what they need from us. But Shelley did prepare you this little sheet showing you who's running.
Do you know when the pull the balls or the hat out of the, for position?
ballot.
Yeah, the ballot drawing. When does that occur?
Be on Monday, February 26th.
February 26th. And isn't there also a day, not that it's gonna happen, but for withdrawals? Aren't they?
I think it says so somewhere in here.
Pardon me? Yeah, it was.
For a candidate to withdraw their application is February 23rd at 5 p.m.
2 days from now.
And there'll be more to come on election stuff, but since the deadline to apply was Friday, I just wanted to update y'all with the list of candidates.
Thank you. Did you say that was at 1 o'clock on the 26th? 10 o'clock on 15-minute intervals by what number or something? Okay. That's it. Thank you, Katie. Agenda item 16. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
You're talking about exemptions from taxation, and you wanted some input from your financial advisor about increasing the over 65 and disabled.
Yeah, this was the analysis that was requested last month.
Y'all did that, didn't you? Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Adam. Mhm. It doesn't look like to me, I'm no mathematical genius, that it makes really more than 2 cents or 3 cents.
No, I mean, For every $1,000 that you,
Mhm.
additional $1,000 you grant, you're saving those residents that qualify about $1.46 a year.
Mhm. So here's what, excuse me, you take over. I'm about,
Well,
to.
no.
Can you tell?
The only thing that, again, I looked at this and like, as everybody did here, you know, it's, you know, a couple of dollars, a year, per person who would receive this on their bill. And it, you know, you have to go up to the upper numbers, you know, and you can see that it amounts to, you know, $10,000 or something like that. The only thing that kind of is problematic to me, and maybe Eric, you can give us clarification, is that now that we're a developed district, because these two things kind of go together, we're kind of constricted, right? You know where I'm going with this? If you can take it.
Yes. So we're actually gonna defer on the resolution today for your developed district status, but y'all were a
We
developed
were
district
last year.
and you will be again
It'd
this
be
year.
nice to go back, but you can't. can you?
Yeah, the only way you would turn back into a developing district would be if you did a big annexation or perhaps when the wastewater treatment plant is being rebuilt or rehabbed.
Oh,
Mhm.
Because then you don't have existing facilities that have already been bond funded to serve 95% of your connections. But
that needs to get thrown in the mix too. Is
so
it?
we review this every year. We're gonna defer on that resolution today because we got in the engineer's exhibit late last week, and myself and Brian are reviewing this to see what changed for each district. Y'all's didn't really change, but some of the districts had a change that we wanted to follow up on and see what happened. But yes, as a developed district, you can only increase this is a simplified version. You can probably say it better.
And if your average tax bill goes above 3.5% as a developed district, it's a mandatory
Mhm.
rollback election.
That's pretty tight.
The old standard, which is now the developing district, was 8%, and then a certain percentage of residents have to petition for a rollback to force the election.
Right. So,
Yeah.
are we gonna,
Right now, your residents with the 30,000 over 65 are granted about $44 above and beyond what the average resident receives.
And what prompted this was, we were talking about increasing that amount. And I don't know where we got to in that discussion, but it looks like y'all took it out for us, so we know what we were doing. And
Currently for 30,000.
Yeah.
So she expanded.
Mhm.
And
So-
you are among the highest. The only one that surpassed you last year was 46. They opted for an extra $500. So they're at
We gotta go
30,500.
to 31 then.
is it,
Well, this won't stand.
well, what about 35? Let's just go 35 and show what goodwill we have.
Well, if
I mean,
if
that's
that's,
goodwill.
if
That's
that's,
something to
if
put in
if that,
paper.
if that's your motion, I mean, I'm just
No, I don't know.
saying, the other point is that pretty soon, and you hate to be
I
a
know.
chiseler, but you know, we gotta start looking at, you know, if we're boxed in by this 3.5%, that for, you know, it's something we might think about, in what we'd like to do or what we think is prudent for the entire district.
I will say for most districts that are developed out, the range is typically 20 to 30,000. There are some outliers that will grant, I mean, I've seen as high as 100,000, but they're large districts and they do that in lieu of lowering their tax rate.
Mhm.
You guys have granted the general homestead, which is 20%, that's the max. And then you've pushed the tax rate down as much as you can. So you're in the range, the high end range for a developed out district at 30,000. So, I mean, but it's completely up to you on decision.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
We have a motion to stay at 30, go to anything in between. but just knowing all of the ramifications, now we know all the facts and
Well,
where we are.
It was on the agenda last time, right?
Well, yeah, but we didn't really have any data.
Right,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that, but I mean, who, did you
Did we-
put it on the agenda?
did
Did
we-
Donna put it on the
We
agenda?
deferred it.
I know we deferred it, but who put it on the agenda? And if Donna put it on the agenda, maybe we ought to wait till she gets back, because she had some thinking that she was doing about
They
it.
came from our office, to do this resolution.
Oh, okay, the resolution came from your office. Oh, okay, okay, and this is the data that we decided we needed to do, okay.
You don't really have to make a decision today if you didn't want to.
Mhm.
We would need to, we can defer it if you'd like, but.
Yeah, there's no deadline on
Mhm.
it. Okay. What do you think? Do
Well,
that?
there is
So
a
Donna can,
Yeah,
and when is
There
that,
is a
please?
The preliminaries come out in May and you want them on the, you want them keyed for the preliminaries so you can see a real good estimate of what your value is gonna be. So you need to do it this month or next month. And I really need to get them by back to the appraisal district mid-April. Because your notices are gonna be mailed out.
So March would still get us time,
Little
March
bit.
would still give you time,
Okay.
yes.
because you'd be 30 days before you have to send out the notices.
Well,
Does
the
that jam you up too much, though? I mean,
yeah, that's what I-
is it doable, Jeannie? Is it doable with your staff, or are you really are we jamming you up?
Me giving the resolutions to the appraisal district, it doesn't have anything to do with us having to key anything. It's the appraisal district. They realize they're in the middle of the software issue. And I haven't had correction roll in a couple of months. And to get these preliminaries going, we need to get them there pretty quick. By March, I would think March.
Your district and 47 are the only two that asked for additional information. All other districts
Right,
kept their exemptions the same.
They stayed pat.
right.
And you said the range is 20 to 30,000 normally.
And this is a snapshot that's on Woodlands Water page, and I'm happy to pass it around, but it's all the districts, the 10 districts, and what they currently grant. Between 10 and 30.
And then
Mhm.
And if I recall, the citizens in our MUD we're over 50% that would qualify for that.
Correct. Yeah, if you look, it's kind of small, but on note B,
Right there.
there's 1,194 that have qualified for over 65 and 22 for disabled.
Mhm.
How many meters do we have? What's our count?
4,000 and something.
I know that
That's our vote.
Maureen had that,
your meters,
I guess, wouldn't that be how we would, judge the number of people 65 and over? Or would that be from like voter rolls or something?
homesteads in your district.
But I'm saying total, what's the total number of our residents? 43,000? 4,300. Okay.
Yeah. Is that meters, 4,300 meters? Connections?
I don't know, what was it, Sean? That's meters?
Meters, yeah.
I don't know. Is that a appropriate metric, or is it meaningless?
The call for y'all. You're already at the high end.
Generous of spirit.
Yeah, because your homesteads, let me get to your last certified that I have here. Okay, your number of homesteads is 2,045.
Boy, that is really like half almost, isn't it?
And then like Adam said you have 1,100. Total.
Yeah, 1194.
Mhm.
Almost 60% of your residents.
Why would somebody have a homestead and not a 65 or?
Because they're not 65 or disabled.
Really? Well, I thought that's,
It's
Instead of
Oh.
paying for it.
If you own a home and you live in that house.
Oh,
And
okay,
you have to file for homestead, don't you?
Okay.
If you don't
Yeah.
file for it, you're.
okay.
Mhm.
They'll offer the 20%, which is the maximum.
Part of the reason Texas was formed as a state or as a republic was the homestead. Because remember when the homestead initially was first started, your homestead, if you had financial difficulties, was always protected from seizure and you can lose all your furniture in there, but you're going to keep your homestead.
Mm.
So that was one of the things that GTT gone to Texas.
So do I need to make a motion about this?
You can, you certainly feel free to, I mean,
Well, I think in the discussion last month, we were looking at raising it to 31. And then we asked the question, and obviously y'all wanted to know the answer of, what's that really going to cost us? So, I mean, let's raise it to 31 and then people can get busy and we're not holding them up because, I mean, it'd be different if we were talking a huge amount of dollars, wouldn't it?
The impact to your budget is about $1,740.
Mhm.
So it's negligible.
Well, y'all ought to give that to me.
You move? You move?
I moved.
I'll do a
moved.
second.
Okay.
further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion passes 31.
Now above 46 for a year.
Good job. Well, until the next meeting.
They've already
It's already met. Yes. Okay. Developing district, that's gonna be deferred, right? 17?
Yes,
Yeah. Defer to, March.
yes, we'll have it next one.
Consider an act on the district's annual customer report. Yes, Mr. Walker
Oh, my.
and Mr. Geiger.
Thanks to everybody, by the way.
Almost there.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you should have this latest iteration here passed out to you. That's not in the packet.
Please, thank you, yeah.
And I have another one. I gave mine to Bob over here. Got them. Oh, yeah, here we go. We were all handed
There we
one
go.
and I.
Sorry, I don't have, I could have brought more. We need to get this finalized by Friday this morning. So
Well,
that'll give
and
us time to get into the print.
My issue is not on here. I mean, that language was changed, so
Yeah.
we're good. So don't worry about what I said a while ago.
CPWD.
It's not,
So on that bullet point, I do want to point out that Bear Branch Dam Rehabilitation Project under 2024 looking forward, that first bullet. Those numbers are incorrect. I'll work with Dan to get those dialed in, make sure that those are
the
correct.
amounts of money are incorrect.
The amounts are incorrect.
Yeah, okay.
If you have notes now, you can lay them to me, or I can, get with Dale. If you're amenable, by Friday to get the final copy.
My one comment that I think will be very beneficial would be to have in the Bear Branch Dam Rehabilitation Project funded by operations partners, MUDs, so that people wouldn't think, "Well, why the heck are we doing this?" Because we are contractually operations partners with these MUDs.
Being funded by Operation Partners, MUDs, 60, 70, and so.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'll add that in.
But do you have to add it in the dark space or in the, project is being funded by operational partners right there is what he's talking about. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, and I need to scrub Mike's name from the back.
Yeah.
As a reminder, we're gonna stuff this, insert this into the next water bill. Go out in a couple weeks, less than. Vote this online, the most 50 page. And we will send it out to your contact list via email. And we'll make note that, through social media, that we have.
No, these are 2023 accomplishments. We couldn't add our 31,000 because that's 2024.
I guess,
We have to wait a year.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we're good to go.
Anything else? I think so. Don't
Good to
you?
go.
Okay,
With the
The
modification of
modification.
making sure that you got the right numbers.
completely happy with this, as long as we, correct those figures under Bear Branch Dam, add in operations partners. And, scrub Mike's name from Paxel.
Mhm.
Okay.
One quick question about the QR codes. That takes you to the website, right? These
The,
thank you
let's
to-
60,
Yeah,
your page, correct,
okay,
where you have.
That's great.
Minutes, agendas, the annual report lives there, all.
yeah, because talking with the neighbors, they said, well, what's the website? I said, well, just, you can search it, and they go, well. But I think adding the QR codes like you have in the past is a good idea, because it just takes you right there,
Exactly.
opens it in the browser, and that way you don't have to put it here. I think on some of the edits.
Frees up a little space, yeah.
Yeah, rather than having a big hypertext link here, it makes it simpler by doing it that way.
Okay.
So
Great
thanks.
job. Thank you, Dale.
No, thanks to the board of directors. Because you caught a lot of things that I missed, so, and Donna did too, even though she's not here, so appreciate it.
This was very well received last year by your residents. I think it's important. Glad you're doing it.
Great. Okay. We are now to the general manager's report. General Manager Peterson.
John, continue on while he's already up.
Let's see, we're on page
68.
68.
So we are ending up the final month of our first quarter, which focuses on telling the story about water. March, we will tack to waterfall. So telling our story, and you'll see examples of that in the next few pages there, of current materials. But what I wanted to focus on this month was giving you some more data on how we did last year. So last month, I presented to you our community survey results, which were quite encouraging. And we've got some more information to help further refine how we're doing, or how we did in 2023. So Houston Chronicle, Community Impact, Woodlands Community Magazine, those are big outlets for our marketing. The Houston Chronicle, digital syndicate, so that's many dozens of websites. It's not just the Chronicle that we advertise on. We had over 4,000 engagements, almost 2% engagement rate. Compare that to industry standards, it's pretty good. Community impact, really the main emphasis there is that print piece that goes to every home every month automatically. So their monthly readership is 160,000.
It's a full page in impact.
That was one page in Woodlands Community Magazine.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it. So I asked it.
So we have a quarter page in that community impact each month. So that's,
Quarter page, okay.
it's a nice distribution for us. Woodlands Community Magazine, this month we have that Water Smart article and full page ad. That goes to 42,000 homes monthly, and they have a digital presence. That's up in the air going forward. The printer has done it for a number of years. It's backed out, so they're out to bid for a new one. So we're hoping that will continue. It's been an important piece for us.
The printer of.
The Woodlands Community Magazine, so the township production, but the printer is stepping away. Specifically. So we likely won't have anything going out in March for that as we wait for their bid process done. Website visitation, that's a nice gauge because we point a lot to the website, right, through our various materials. We saw a 32% increase in 2023 over 2022. Year over year was a 32% increase. And if you look at the previous 5-year average, we stepped up 48% in page views. It's a way to assess visitation. A lot more traffic there this last year. We had 115,000 unique visitors. That's not visits, that's individuals. No matter how much they visit, you count as one. And, you know, hopefully I've kept you abreast or you've seen for yourself the many improvements we've made on the website, trying to make it more navigable, and create some ways to get important information up front for folks. The water bill, of course, we have that ad every month. The current one is on hydrant flushing. Next month, we will switch to water quality. And then Woodlands Water Weekly, that's going out to 22,000 is our contact list. A pretty consistent 57% open rate.
That's great.
So that translates to 39% of our total accounts are opening that email each week. So I think that's a good number.
Mhm.
It's communicating directly with a large percentage of our accounts in an in-depth way. And I believe constant contact, that puts us at 20% above industry average. And Facebook on page 70, we saw a doubling of our reach last year. That's that's number of folks that saw our stuff. That's not our followers.
Mhm.
That's who saw our Facebook post. I don't have X/Twitter. Doesn't really provide that information. It's more limited in time frame. And Nextdoor, we just started in the fall, so I don't really have meaningful data on that yet. And WaterSmart, that's a nice way to see how all this traffic, this visitation, touches that we do, how that's translating into some action. We did see continued growth in WaterSmart registration. We're now 39% of our total accounts are on WaterSmart. That's for residents, by the way. Commercial, it's at 21%. So room to grow. We have continued to grow, but that rate of growth did slow in 23. We were at 241 new registrations on average each month in 2022. We're at 181 each month in 2023. So a couple notes there. We would expect it to get tougher to sign people up over time as you get the easy ones right up front, right? Kind of pick off the low hanging fruit. People are more excited about another portal in their life.
Mhm.
But we have some new strategies I'm quite excited about to help us increase that rate of growth here in 24. Talk with you about those in time, but we've got a few different things that I think we're going to see that increase. We do everything we can.
If you have neighbors that are like this gentleman that was here that may not have been aware of WaterSmart or some of the other things that are available, no charge to the customers. It comes in there with their as a value of their service from WWA. Who could we tell our neighbor to call here to just, you know, if you want to talk WaterSmart, who is the person that would sign them up?
Well, our customer service staff, they
And,
do that all day, every day.
and is there a person or just customer service? Option 3,
Yes.
billing department?
Much anyone that can reach can help. In fact, we put that in a lot of our messaging. That is a barrier for signups is having your account number.
Oh.
Yeah, you need your account number and your zip code. Hopefully most folks know their zip code. The account number can be a little trickier. It's on your water bill, but not everybody has a water bill sitting right in front of them.
That's a good tip too.
And so,
If you're talking to somebody, I mean,
yeah, we encourage them, remind them it's on their water bill, but we encourage them to call us. Just pick up the phone, give it to you right over the phone and set you up. Yeah. Any questions on any of those metrics? Okay. One final thing here, just want to give you a quick update on where we are with Holloway Infrastructure and Communications Consultant that we've been working with since last fall. We got their assessment of our communications, Woodlands Water and SGRA's. That assessment has informed their strategic plan. We've seen a draft of that strategic plan. The PEC has reviewed it. It is currently commenting on that plan. Holloway will take those comments, tune that strategic plan. We hope to see implementation in 3-4 weeks. Maybe longer,
Maybe a little
maybe a
longer.
little longer. So we'll keep you updated on how that's going.
Great. Doing a great job, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Only other items I had was just to remind you, this Thursday is the Gulf Coast Water Conservation Symposium. That'll be on the west side of town. If you haven't signed up, a few of us are going. And then wanted to give you an update on One Water. Over the last couple months, we've met a few times to identify what the focus or goals might be if and when that endeavor got created again or got started again. And so recently we've kind of come to some of those goals and had a conversation with township leadership. And I think we left that meeting with everyone in favor of proceeding, goals as noted, and we are working towards that. So probably will be a renaming of sorts, probably just to kind of create some separation from the previous attempt at this. And but you know, the township's concurrence. Sorry. More to come. And that's all I had specifically.
Okay, thank you. I would assume you'd also have agenda item 20, authorized review of water conservation plan, drought contingency plan, policy number R&S 35.
Yes, you have a drought contingency plan, water conservation plan in place, and that needs to be looked at and updated every 5 years. Now's the time. And so we've already actually spoken with our consultant that helps us with that. And we'll be working with them to get those updated. And then also we'll be working with SDRA as our drought contingency plan is aligned with theirs as well. And so more to come.
Is this something that we have to vote on once there's their action at some point?
Eventually,
Yeah.
Do the review, and they've really already started it, but, if there are changes that they identify, you will take action to adopt an updated policy. But at this point, they're just starting the review, so it would be in a few months.
You have a target date when you think this might be brought back for review and action?
well, at the latest, it needs to be done in April, I think, because it has to be posted by May.
Okay.
So if it can be done by March, which I don't believe that's the target.
Probably April.
Yes.
Great. Very good. What am I doing? Wrong place. Anything else, Eric? Okay. Review the trustees report. There any questions on that? I'll be happy to fill you in that what Eric hasn't put in the meeting notes. The one thing that I wanted to, and I just didn't have the chance to get it done. Do you happen to recall, Eric, Maureen, I don't know if you were still there, that no, you were definitely there because it was the Region H report from Arthur. He had data from the Texas Water Development Board for projects that were delayed from like 2018 to 2023. And I believe that he said that the price increase was like 28%. Does that ring a bell?
I don't recall that.
Well, I meant to get a hold of Arthur to get that straight, and but it just seemed to me that, you know, with all the talk of delaying, you know, needed infrastructure replacement, you know, we have statistical data by the Water Development Board about price increases over this period of time, might be meaningful that boards of directors know about this, you know, that, you know, you can defer them all you want, but, you know, it's going to cost. Pay me now, pay me later. So anyways, I just was hopeful that somebody would have remembered what Arthur had shared with us. But
That's been on my mind.
I'll go back to that later.
And it might be something I read in here.
Yeah.
Go to it.
Closed session? No need. Anything for future agenda? We have some deferrals here. Agenda item 13, agenda item 17, agenda item 20 on the April. And that's it. Anything else? Dale? Anything else, Betty? Okay. Hearing none. Meeting's adjourned.